Hello, welcome to this edition of Weather to Watch. It is May 23rd, and we've got a lot of unsettled weather in the nation's midsection, and a lot of the country is going to be cool for this time of year. Well, it's a Friday afternoon. The weekend is here, and it's a long holiday weekend, too. Memorial Day weekend, of course. For much of the country, it's going to be a little bit on the cool side. For a certain section of the country, it's going to be soggy. We'll highlight all of that. Here's the water vapor loop. Good at finding swirls. This was an intense little cyclone off the New England coast over the last 24 hours or so. A more surge of energy into northwestern parts of the country and into western Canada. But largely, we have this kind of sweeping flow here, and then kind of a west-northwest flow right here. And when you get into May and June, when you have a flow like that, it doesn't necessarily shut down thunderstorms. In fact, they just kind of change their character a little bit, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. Here on the visible loop, which is always fascinating to watch this time of year because we have so much daylight now and so many features are visible, including, again, that cyclone there right around the coast of Maine. Very evident jet stream flow coming in like this and going down like that, sweeping around. Cumulus clouds, a few showers developing there in Ohio. And certainly the bigger players are these showers and a couple of thunderstorms breaking out here. And this looks subtle, but that's going to grow. I'll show you here in a minute. So on the 500 millibar flow, we, as you would expect, have this broad cyclone or just low pressure area aloft sitting over the New England, basically, and much of the Northeast. So the jet stream roughly defines where the hot and cold are. So if you're on this side of the line, if you're on the north side of this line I just drew, you're cooler than normal. And if you're on the south side of it, probably a little bit above normal. Let's take a look at some surface charts. Here's a surface map for late this afternoon. We have a reinforcing shot of cool air, this cool front right here. A weak area of high pressure, but pretty effective, centered over southern Illinois. A long warm front connecting up to low pressure there around Cheyenne. So the showers and thunderstorms are forming here, and this front will serve as a mechanism, I think, to focus some of this as they kind of slide down the slide here over the next couple of hours. But let's turn our attention to the northern plains here, where this high pressure, this secondary high way up in Canada, has a ridge kind of extending into Minnesota. And this is cool weather for this time of year. These are the station plots. So these are the wind barbs. So if you don't see a lot of lines hanging off the edge of them, like here and here, these are very weak. There's non-existent winds, basically, except if you get over here into the UP where it does pick up a little bit. But the lower number is the dew point, 33, 34, Duluth is 34, Minneapolis 37. So if it stays clear tonight and the winds are calm, temperatures could drop down to those levels. So there's a frost advisory in effect, almost as far south as Madison, Wisconsin, just about including Eau Claire, Rhinelander, up into the western portion of the UP, and extending up into the Arrowhead region of Minnesota. Let's go a little bit further south, closer to that warm front, where we have a pretty active flow. There's all kinds of interesting things going on here. We have low moisture clouds, some stratus clouds underneath the deck kind of moving north. Then we have the jet stream mid-level clouds doing this. Then we have the blow-off for showers and thunderstorms. And then we have this activity here that's blowing up just around Nebraska. Let's take a look at some radar. Well, I've got a radar snapshot along with the Storm Prediction Center outlook for the next, through 7 a.m. tomorrow at least. So this slight risk area is all this yellow area here. And you can see by the way they draw outlooks what they think is going to happen. So while there is some shower and thunderstorm activity approaching southwest Missouri, that will not be severe. But this activity will be, and I just know this time of year we have to watch these very carefully because sometimes these can really grow legs and develop into quite a rain and wind system. I don't think that's going to happen with this one, but it is something worth watching. And here's a live radar showing Fort Morgan, Colorado here, and Sterling, Colorado. So you get up into parts of Nebraska here. Here's North Platte. Cheyenne is just off the map. So we have some severe thunderstorms, hail producers for the most part, but some strong winds are possible with some of this as well. Pause for severe storms. 3, 2, 1. As you saw, the severe weather outlook for the remainder of today through 7 a.m. features maybe some high plains storms there in Texas, but again, this roller coaster of storms expected to go along and north of the warm front tonight. There is a tornado probability with this. It's a 2% chance, but a 5% chance, also very isolated there around Sterling, Colorado. and not quite over to Cheyenne. So the interpretation of this is that a lot of times when these storms develop at first, they're tornadic, and then they become wind and hail machines as they slide on down. But they are still capable of producing a tornado if that thunderstorm cluster continues down that through Kansas and into Oklahoma eventually, even into southwest Missouri. Now, tomorrow, Saturday, a severe weather outlook is kind of a boomerang shaped from West Texas, covering just about all of Oklahoma into southwest Missouri, most of Arkansas, ending all the way over there by Birmingham, Alabama. And that's for Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. Sunday. That's how that outlook works. So it could be Saturday night, too. And we also have a tornado outlook that includes a 5% risk in the heart of Oklahoma City, back almost to Lubbock, and then a 2% risk that does get into southwest Missouri and northwest Arkansas and extends, again, all the way over to Birmingham. If you want more on the severe weather front, every morning I produce what you just saw, only in a little more detail and going out more into the distance. So be sure to check that out every morning, including tomorrow morning with the holiday weekend coming up. Get the latest from the SPC and where I think the heaviest of the storms are going to be located. Well, it looks like the Hurricane Center has put out their hurricane forecast for the Atlantic hurricane season is what we're talking about here. We're talking about named storms, 13 to 19. That could be, doesn't have to be a hurricane. It can be a tropical storm too. So 13 to 19, slightly above the normal. Hurricanes, 6 to 10. Major hurricanes, 3 to 5 are possible. Now, none of these outlooks ever talk about landfall. It's just how many will form. So when you have major hurricanes 3 to 5, that's somewhat concerning. There's a 60% chance that the season will be above normal and only a 10% chance that it will be below normal. So this is all put together by our government, and they'll update this at some point right before hurricane season starts, somewhere in August, I believe. If you're wondering what the names are, it's Andrea, Barry, Chantal to start out, Dexter, Aaron, and ending the season, but we shouldn't get there with Wendy. And this is something we'll show you more as we get deeper into the season, but this is just an example of how we can look at the Atlantic. This is the dust that's coming off the Sahara, and you can see little waves in here. And so a lot of dust is detrimental, really, to hurricane development. But, that's what's going on now, not later. So we've got a couple of months before we expect tropical systems and hurricanes to really start kicking up. Let's take a look at that heavy rain forecast. A flood watch is in effect for a good chunk of southwest Missouri, northwest and north central Arkansas. Tulsa is in this. Southeast Kansas is in this. Why? Because over the next 3 days, it looks as if we've got a really solid chance at getting, see, the red is 3, then the orange is 4, and then this is 5, and then it looks like there could even be maybe a couple of isolated 7 to 8 inch totals in extreme southwest Missouri, northeast Oklahoma, and northwest Arkansas over the next 3 days. So with the holiday coming in, that's not the best news at all. It'll wash out your plans possibly, but also watch out that these heavy rains will fall on mostly saturated ground, so it won't take too long for this to run off and cause problems. So be very, very wary. Let's check and see how cool the country is. Wow, this is amazing. The Saturday high temperatures will feature highs in Chicago around 62 degrees, highs in the UP of Michigan only in the 50s, highs in the high plains only in the 50s in parts of South Dakota. The hot spot would be, that'd be Lubbock, Texas at 100 degrees tomorrow, and Midland at 101. But much of the country is cool, as indicated by the cooler colors. That's the below normal when you see the blue or the green. This only gets worse on Monday, with much of the country very cool. I live in Springfield. Our high on Monday will only be 65 degrees as we're ready to wrap up May here, and that's Memorial Day. The warm temperatures are along the Gulf Coast, South Texas, and in the upper part of the Rockies, and that's it. If we go ahead to Wednesday of next week, it is a very persistent pattern, one that continues to show below normal temperatures across the nation's heartland and much of the eastern United States, with the real hot weather even disappearing from parts of Texas, about normal for them, but pretty hot up in Idaho, parts of Montana. In fact, if we look at the 6 to 10 day temperature forecast for the period May 29th through the June 2nd, we definitely see that tendency to be cool. The probability of that looks like it's 60% or greater in the Tennessee River Valley, and then very much above normal in California and parts of the northwestern U.S. And then finally, we'll look at precipitation. Above normal, pretty high percentage chance in parts of New Mexico and Texas. This is exactly some of the parts of the country that have been at their driest with the drought. So that would be welcome news if that rainfall works out for South Texas. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.